Hello and welcome to the Socially Ambitious Podcast. I'm your co-host Liv.
I'm your co-host Jess.
And I'm your co-host Anna.
On this show, we'll be delving into all things social media, delegation, and influencer marketing.
Join us for insightful conversations on mastering work-life balance, pursuing your passions, and crafting the life you've always dreamed of.
Get ready for actionable tips and empowering discussions.
Hi guys.
Howdy.
Okay, we don't know how to do this with three people, but we're gonna figure it out. You guys are gonna come along with us. Welcome to the first ever Socially Ambitious Podcast. I am your co-host Liv.
I'm your co-host Jess. Sorry, I'm used to going right after Liv.
I'm your co-host.
I'm like, Anna, you're last. I'm like, Anna, know your place. If you guys didn't catch the last couple episodes of Whiskey and Water and need to be put up to speed, this is now the Socially Ambitious Podcast, and we have brought on our amazing third business partner and now co-host, which is Anna. Anna, say hi.
Hi.
We are so excited to bring on Anna as our third co-host. Honestly, there's no one else that we would ever even consider doing this with, but we just knew that she was going to be the perfect fit, and we're super excited to kind of enter this new era, this new chapter. It just feels really aligned. And, you know, if you guys are the OG brothers, you guys know that we only do things that are in alignment and that feel natural to our evolution. And was just like the natural next step. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys kind of probably felt it coming over the last couple of seasons. You know, we really kind of naturally geared towards social media, influencer assistance, just because like that became our life, and honestly something that we're just really, really passionate about. And over the last year of launching Socially Ambitious and seeing all the lives that it impacted, we just kind of want to expand that impact as much as we can. So here we are.
And for those who don't already know Anna, let's do a little quick what's it called? Spark Note introduction, Anna.
Yeah, and if you're, completely new here, okay, I am
If you don't
Anna.
know, now you know.
If you don't know, now you know. I'm Anna. I started in social media. I mean, I started my Instagram and TikTok account 2 years ago. And then maybe 6 months after that, I became Jess and Liv's assistant. I found them through a TikTok video, as all the best things are found.
Her.
And I really, really, really wanted the job. And I was very, very excited. And I got it. And then I remember from day one, they had basically said like, okay, just keep in mind, we are thinking about doing a course on how to become an influencer's assistant. We want to do a couple more courses on like social media in general. So keep those things in mind while you're training. And then a couple months later, they said they wanted to make the course and asked if I wanted to be a part of it. And I was like, immediately, yes. And one thing led to another. And we now, whatever, like 300. We turned it. It's been a year. It's been a year since we launched now, almost 300 students later, so many people in new jobs, living a lot more fulfilling lives. And this is us kind of taking that to the next level. Again, if you're completely new, we have a course on how to become an influencer's assistant. We also help people get jobs through the Facebook group. We have a Facebook group for essentially job listings. Any influencer, social media person hiring any sort of role in social media can put a job listing in that Facebook group. So this podcast is us kind of taking that all to the next level together.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm actually so excited for our graduates and our current students to also tune in, because I know a lot of them will. We try to provide as many resources to our community as possible. And I think this is going to be such an amazing resource, especially because we're going to have on, past students and graduates who have been uber successful since taking the course, have applied their skill set in so many different ways, have started their own businesses, have taken on multiple influencer clients or traveling with their influencers. And I'm just really excited to highlight some of our past students and just show the potential of what not only like the course can bring them, but this industry in general, just because there's so many opportunities that you don't even know about. Like even we get new opportunities every day that we're like, what? Like I couldn't have even imagine this. So just
Yeah.
super, super excited. And for anyone who is super, uber, super duper new and hasn't tuned into past whiskey and water episodes, we'll do a mini introduction. And also just like in general, this first episode is going to be like a little reintroduction into ourselves, brief history on our relationship, expanding on kind of what Anna explained already, why we even created the course, why we created Socially Ambitious, and kind of just like what you guys can expect from the podcast. And then from there, later on episodes, it won't always be the three of us, too, just a heads up. We're going to take on guests separately or we'll pair up, kind of just like whatever feels good and natural. So just a heads up as well, it won't be all three of us every episode. But for those who are new, I'm Olivia. I have been influencing for almost 7 years now. Both Jess and I have similar stories for how we got started. We started as models and really just sharing our modeling photos on our Instagrams that turned into becoming influencers and content creators. And we do this full time. We also have a content creation and social media agency, which was going on we ran for about 3 years. And now that Socially Ambitious has done so well and has filled our cups a little bit more, honestly, than the agency has, we've scaled down the agency work quite a bit and we're really going deep on Socially Ambitious stuff. And that's super, super exciting. And we've had this podcast for about 3 years now as well. And we decided to rebrand. And now we're here. And that is the scoop. That's the tea.
That
Can
is
you
the
go
tea.
more into the agency for people who are like completely new in terms of like what you guys did?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I
I
would
feel
love
like it took
to.
me like several months even to like figure it
I
out.
mean, it changes again, like kind of
Yeah.
like how I noted earlier, like we are constantly evolving and just kind of doing what feels good to us. But um we launched our kind of just to give a quick backstory, we launched the podcast in 2019 and we had the podcast for about a year. And then that was when we launched Mood, the agency, about a year after that. So in 2020, we launched Mood. And Mood was really born out of um, a gap in the market that we saw with brands wanting content shot, like professionally shot content, but with a bit of a lower budget, not so, produced, not so crazy on models/influencers. And so I was reaching out to these brand contacts that I had through influencing and saying, hey, I can actually shoot your products because they were like paying me for content. And I was like, well, it's going to get old, them shooting. I can't just be the only face of this brand. And I was like, I have, all of these beautiful models and of course my best friend who's a stunning model, Olivia. And I was, offered to shoot on these other people and they loved it. And I really started to, get a good amount of retainers. And then it kind of grew to a place where I was like, okay, I can, choose to take this a step forward. And of course, Olivia felt like, the only natural person to do that with. So we started the agency and then we started booking models. And then it felt like a really natural next step to do influencer campaigns and social media management. Both Olivia and I have experience, of course, in influencer campaigns, but also in social media management. We both, came from marketing backgrounds, digital marketing backgrounds, worked for different social media agencies, worked for different PR companies, things of that nature. And then about how long ago did we make the decision to kind of actually scale back those services? I would say it's about
6 months ago, maybe.
6 months ago. We did that for about 3 years. And then 6 months ago decided that it just really wasn't filling our cup, especially, with SOAM and the success that we were seeing there. It just didn't really make sense. So we fired our clients. And
All right.
just kidding. All love to them. But we did decide to remove ourselves from those clients. And honestly, we've never felt better about the decision. Like
I've never felt lighter.
Never felt lighter. Like, and we always talk about how important it is to take inventory of how you're feeling. And fortunately, we've always been extremely aligned in that sense. Like, we'll both get on a phone call. Like, so how are you feeling? She's like, yeah, and how are you feeling?
So are we having fun or no?
Yeah. And so, yeah, we decided to stop those services. And now we're kind of just, keeping mood at bay. We're accepting campaigns when the clients come to us and the clients that like we have a good rapport with and, we know that they're enjoyable to work with, and taking those clients on, a case by case basis and really, just honing in on socially ambitious and pouring into it. And ideally, creating additional courses that help improve people's lives.
Yeah. And I'm so thankful to Socially Ambitious for kind of giving us that almost like a comparison, because it was like we were able to tell like what was actually feeling like filling us with fulfillment and what wasn't. Like it was such a sharp comparison in a way.
100%.
And I think that is kind of what made us realize that that wasn't filling our cup, and that's kind of entrepreneurship in general, right? Like you have to take that inventory, you have to pay attention to what is serving you and what isn't. And I'm really thankful for Socially Ambitious for showing us, what is enjoyable for us to do work wise. And that's like genuinely making a difference in people's lives. Like doesn't get better than that. And also like just talking about the business model, it's such a better, I think it aligns so much more with our goals long term, rather than slaving away for clients whose expectations are very hard to manage. And
exactly.
yeah, it was just it was a really good experience for us and a learning lesson. No losses.
And
just
not
lessons.
to mention, like we did give it our best shot, and I do want to highlight that. Like we absolutely poured into mood for the
Maybe a little more than we should have.
100%. And I think that we kind of take space from mood, knowing like feeling good about how much we poured into it and like really giving it our best shot. And because I think a lot of people like, when the going gets tough, that's a make or break moment, but there were a lot of the going gets tough moments that we, overcame to get to the point where we finally kind of laid down our weapons and we're like, this is a toxic relationship.
At the end of the day, and I think this wraps into the course as well, and why we do what we do is like you have to also think about like if you're enjoying what you're doing, and that was a huge driving force for even creating the course is like so too many people are just not enjoying what they're doing for work and they're miserable, and we've been there before, even beyond the not that it not the agency didn't make us miserable, but we've all been in jobs, the three of us, that we've had miserable experiences with when we wake up every day and we don't want to go into work. Jess and I worked for corporate America for a while at a mortgage firm, and it's just the worst feeling. And that truly was such a big why for creating the course, is like seeing that time and time again, knowing that experience and wanting to make a difference for others to not have to do that every day. Because life is, you got to do what you got to do, but also like if you have the resources to change that and make your days more enjoyable and make your work more enjoyable, fucking go for it. Then that's like all we've ever wanted to do for people.
Yeah, I also felt like it was for me, it was definitely like the impact as well, because I really enjoy, content creation. I still enjoy making videos, and I definitely still enjoy doing brand deals. And I like love the brands that I work with. And with Socially Ambitious, I just felt like, especially as I started to see our students, like I would follow them and then all of a sudden they take the course, they get a job, they're in Portugal, they're in Bali, they're, just look much happier. And that it also seemed like there was this really unique time where this job was available. And there were so many people now. I feel like this generation is also a bit more like, has the, you really want to enjoy your life. I think we've all seen a lot of people say that they were saving up for retirement or saving up for sort of like one day. And then this sort of tragedy happens of it's just not the same, or, God forbid, it just didn't work out for them in one way or another, and really wants to take advantage of the fact that we have this unique opportunity to work online. And that just made me so happy to see so many people doing that, because again, I've definitely, I know we all have, and I think like pretty much everybody has just been in that situation where, your job sucks, or you don't like it, or for whatever reason, it's not in alignment. Even if it's like you want to move to a new city, you just want to travel a bit more and you don't want to like take off or something like that. And not only to be able to have that impact on like one person, but to be able to really scale that and give it to like whoever is there for it and wants to make it happen in a relatively quick period of time. I think that was the other benefit of it, of like an industry that's really low barrier to entry, that, you know, people can just go for it. And we've seen people, I mean, not everybody, of course, and sometimes it takes longer, but we've seen people take the course and get to leave their jobs by the end of the week. And I think that was so exciting.
In 2 days, in fact.
In 2 days.
Yeah.
It's a record. If anyone wants to come in and beat it.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And I think there's also
we challenge you.
There's so much power in online education. I think even more so than, you know, the standard educational model of going to college and graduating with $50,000 in debt, like, which is a crazy point that I didn't even think of. It was actually one of our previous students who made that point, because we were talking about how people are, you know, either justifying or not justifying paying for the course. And she was like, but you'll spend $50,000 on a degree, on a general
like period
that gets you into, you know, a minimum wage starting position anywhere anyways, like an entry level starting position. So and there's, from people who have taken online courses, like the fact that we took a course to learn how to make our course, and now our course is changing people's lives. I think there's so much power in that, you know, because I think, and that's coming from someone who previously thought courses were a scam. And
for sure. I was just talking about that yesterday.
And I think that's an important call out, is like previous to taking courses and building our course, I had a bad taste in my mouth for courses. I just didn't believe in them. I didn't think that
they have bad PR.
I didn't think
I love courses. I was always a course stan. Also,
Anna's a course taker.
One thing about
which
me,
was
I will
so
like
good for us.
So helpful for us. Like, it was imperative to our success.
If someone does a course on like anything and I'm like, that looks interesting, like I'll take the course. Also, quick disclaimer from previously, no shade to anybody who went through a traditional education system. We love that.
Respect it.
We respect it, love it, you know.
But so did we, though, you know, like,
and,
like, you know, Olivia and I both went to college a couple of years, you know, didn't
graduate,
due diligence, you know, we tried to see if we liked it. We tried. But yeah, so yeah, no shade to that. Like, and also like that's what's programmed into society. You know, like I'm ladies, gentlemen, I am 28 years old and my father still asks me when I'm going back to college. So as you can see, like your environment has a lot to do with, you know, the path that you end up taking for your education. Yeah. And also something else that I kind of want to highlight on like a different thread is that I think a lot of people think that, you know, having a degree and, you know, pursuing your traditional corporate 9 to 5 ensures you a bit more job security. But what I've seen in these like last couple of years and like with my friends who have these traditional 9 to 5s in corporate America is that like these companies genuinely don't give a shit about you 9 times out of 10. Like if they're restructuring, if they merge, like it's out of their hands. Even if like I'm sure your manager like loves you, cares about you, whatever. Even if that, but you know, when push comes to shove, you are just a number. And I think that freelancing, although it like may appear on the surface as like a less safe option, I think it is so much more safe because like you are your job, you are who you have to rely on. And I think it just kind of opens you up so much more because then you're not relying on, you know, the essentially, yes, the economy, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not like,
it's like the way I see it is like the power is in their hands or it's in your hands. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
I've always found that so funny. I saw one the other day where this girl was like, I want to be an influencer, but like, aren't you guys scared of like, what if this all goes away? What would you do? And I'm like, I would get a job. Like, I don't
figure it out.
It's happened before. I've had a job. I've been fired before, like weather layoffs, restaurant closing.
Yeah.
I've been fired overnight because a restaurant didn't tell anybody they're going out of business and withheld 3 paychecks. Like if this all goes away, and not to say that I'm necessarily safe, but nobody is really safe at the end of the day. You can get fired, you can get a new job. I can lose this and I can get a new job. Like, there are people who have gone through much crazier situations than like, and this might pivot. And some people do, you know, I mean, I think the industry has changed a lot and not everybody has been able to keep up, but I think at the end of the day, like, even people ask me if I regret going into acting and not going to college all the time. And I know a lot of people from my high school that did that, who like pursued acting more heavily. And for some people, it worked out for more than others, but not a single one of us regrets it. Like, I don't think I ever could do what I do now if I didn't have that background. And it was not a traditional background. And I always think that like following what like your heart is like a little cringe, but like following what like your heart is like telling you to do is always going to end you up in the right place, because it's always going to give you those lessons. And like at the end of the day, like none of us are safe. Like we all might go to war, you know, like there's all these crazier things. There's all these things also that are crazier than like losing our jobs. All of us are like 1 to 2 generations away from like grandparents living in bomb shelters in one way or another, or like there's so many worse things that I think people should be worried about.
In the grand
like,
scheme of things.
Then if you try influencing for a year and like someone asking you a question in an interview, like, why do you have a year-long gap on your resume? Like it was never that serious.
Even to like highlight a past student and someone that like we've spoken about and we will have her on the podcast is our previous assistant, Taylor. And Taylor was Olivia and I's assistant, and she was the project manager for Mood. She ended up leaving us, rude, to take this offer for a really amazing position, a 9-to-5 position at another creative agency. And she absolutely loved it. And we loved that for her. Like we absolutely supported her like throughout that entire thing. We, we're constantly checking in on her. And like what, 6, 7, 8 months into the position, she was laid off. Like at the peak of her career with them, like she was killing it. Like she was performing really, really well. She was doing numbers. She was really like pretty high in the company, pretty well regarded. She was laid off overnight, guys. And like it absolutely devastated her. But what was born out of that is she came back to influencer assisting, launched her own influencer management / talent agency, and is now absolutely fucking killing it. Like she does my brand pitching every month. And just based off the people that I've referred to her, I think that girl's making more money than me per month because she's literally fucking killing it, and her retainers are pricey. But that just goes to show, I'm wrapping up, but it's just like, it just goes to show that like, it's
a perfect example.
Yeah, perfect example.
And I don't think it's either or. Like, I don't even think we're that in being an influencer's assistant or even being an influencer in particular is that far removed from the corporate world. I mean, we've had people take our course and then get a corporate job with the skills that they learned in the course. Like people can go back and forth. Like this is not some like super off the grid scenario. Like I think
y'all are fucking crazy.
Yeah, like I think if anything, this is getting more and more like blended with,
because every corporation has influencer marketing now. That's the thing. It's like if a company does not have influencer marketing as a part or a pillar of their marketing strategy, then they are probably not doing
absolutely
well. Like they're behind.
At the end of the day, a real job is one that pays the bills. Like, I don't give a fuck.
Say it again.
Like,
say it again.
And like, you don't get like brownie points for wearing a tie. Like, and if you do, good for you. But if you get brownie points, like anyone else, actually, I don't even care what anybody thinks. Like, I'm paying my bills, so whatever. I'm not even gonna waste another second justifying it, but yeah.
I always say that, and again, this isn't to dismiss school and the importance of education. I think we just, always like highlighting different types of education outside of college. Because at the end of the day, that, is a very big business.
Or in addition to, like,
I think it's also,
like
100%. And I think that's another thing too, is people think education stops in school, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop in high school. It doesn't stop in college. Like education is a lifelong pursuit. Like I love asking people, not in a fucked up way, but I'll be like, when was the last time you read a book? Like dead ass.
Yeah. Liv's like, are you even educated?
No, but dead ass. Like I ask Tyler's friends this. Like they'll see me reading and they'll like talk shit and make fun of me. And I'm like, excuse me, when was the last time you read a fucking book?
Yeah. I fucking
like I have to school them.
I'm kidding.
And they're like, oh, I don't know, high school. Like, there's a problem with that.
It is unfortunate.
But that's why I love like courses, because to me,
Yes.
like, you can take a course from someone who is like the top in their industry for so little money comparatively. Like, these people, even if you're at universities, like, I don't know. I mean, professors are amazing. My dad's a professor, disclaimer, so I'm allowed to say whatever I want.
So is my dad.
Oh yeah. Yeah, okay.
So
Professor
is
dads.
my dad in film.
Oh my God. Wait, oh my God.
Oh wait.
That's
I feel
actually
like we've
fucking
never made this
crazy.
connection
We've
before.
never made this connection.
We're all daughters of professors who didn't graduate.
Wow.
We've never made this connection before.
Well, my dad's not
Wow.
like a
It's like
professor, but
pastor dads
he
and
has
like rebellious kids.
he like
Yeah.
What'd you say, Liv?
But
he's not like a professor, but he like teaches classes at a college. So I guess
Okay.
Oh, I
technically
mean,
he is.
yeah, isn't that professor? I don't know. What
does it
qualifies
bark
a
if it's a
professor?
dog? I don't know.
Continue. Sorry, word.
But to me, I'm like, you can learn some from anyone that you resonate. Like, you may or may not resonate with your professor in like the specific subject that you want. Like, you can learn from someone who is at the top of their industry, a New York Times bestseller and everything. So I have like a course buying rule and a book buying rule. The book buying rule is like from this finance author, but he said, if I like a book, I'll just buy it. Like, it's $10. It could just like change your life. And to me, if I like really want a course, like, if there's one thing in there that's super useful, there's courses that I've even been like mad about, like, okay, like, learn some things, but like, I've taken 2 to 3, even if I take 2 to 3 things away from that save me 10 minutes a day or something like that, or is like one nugget, like that could do so much over time that I'm just like, it's so worth it, you know?
Yeah, I
Totally
agree.
agree.
And I think that like to circle this back to how this conversation even started, I think that you being like an admit course taker was so helpful for me and Jess, who were not course takers, because
Yeah.
we were able to, kind of soundboard off each other. And, when we were thinking about like, okay, what's valuable, what's not, should we be going like above and beyond for this? Should we scale back on this? Like, you were a really, really helpful gauge for us to be like,
Mhm.
well, in the past, like I've taken this course and I really loved that they, took us through step A to step Z, and when you graduated, you like knew exactly what to do. And then you just
Yeah.
would be like, oh, word. Yeah, I love that. Let's do that too. So it was like,
Mhm.
it was just a really even, we always say how compatible we are and like how it's such a great fit. And that was just one other reason that we were like, this is so helpful.
Thank you. Yeah, I love that. And that's what I love about our course so much, is like, I feel like it's so interactive. Where I feel like that's kind of one of the benefits. I mean, the negatives of online courses is that it can end up being really passive. You don't like watch it, but we like structure it in a way that forces you to like interact with it. Like, you edit these videos, like they
You
get
have to get
videos.
something out of it.
Yeah, we like
Like
force
no
you.
one could ever finish our course. I
Podcast.
mean, they could, but no one has, and no one in reality could really ever come to
Yeah.
us and say, I had zero takeaways from this course, because we really
Yeah.
do. And this isn't like to toot our own horn. It's just, to kind of like,
Yeah.
I mean, it is. They can never come out of this course and say, I didn't learn anything, because we are so like thorough and so passionate about it. And that's why I feel so confident, like starting to create other courses, because regardless of like if the market is saturated or it hasn't been done before, whatever it might be, like I am just so confident in like what I know that we would put out and the quality of that it would benefit someone.
Yeah.
For sure. I have friends that took it, that like ended up not going in the influencers assistant direction, that still use so many of the things from the course. And even that's my other thing with courses. If I'm like, if I take this course and what I realized from this course is that I don't want to do that, that just saved me like 2 years of like trying by myself.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And also, not to mention, you don't have to like be married to an industry either. Like a lot, like we had someone take our course who then messaged me after and was like, I'm going to apply all of these skills to my own influencing business and actually pursue this more, because that's like more of like what I want to do. And I was like,
didn't we have a
pop off.
manager take our course one time? Was like, I'm an influencer manager and I just want to take this.
Yeah, like just wanted to like kind of like what you do, and it's just like use it as like further education, and it's like so smart.
Yeah.
So smart.
I love seeing that, when especially the ones who were like, yeah, I took this and then it helped me land this influencer marketing coordinator for this huge brand. I'm like, fucking slay.
Pop off, queen.
Like that's what I want to see. So I think I would love to go into whoever is new here and hasn't, listened to past episodes, why we created the course in the first place. Like I think we shared a little bit of our deep morale wise. But it was born really out of frustration more than anything and necessity between Jess and I, like really struggling to find good assistance
We
and
were
good
in the
help.
trenches.
Yeah.
We were in the trenches.
I
Like
read the applications. You guys were in the trenches.
we were desperate, like truly. And I think just another like call out, and I'm just genuinely so grateful for our journey. Like literally with the podcast, with the agency, because juggling these other projects on top of being full-time content creators and influencers is what kind of made us so desperate for that help. Whereas like, if someone really only does influencing and treats it like their 9 to 5, they might not necessarily need the help unless they kind of just
100%.
want to start
Yeah.
enjoying their life a little bit more and they have the bandwidth and whatever. And we searched far and wide, high and fucking low. Like we were on Upwork, we were posting on TikTok, we were taking recommendations from friends, but again like and kind of like
hiring family members.
Hiring family members.
Hiring my sister.
Which shout out Noelle. She actually ended up taking the course and is fucking killing it. She works for Opolly and Bow and Tea and is like traveling with them. I love her. I'm so proud of her. But not the point. So we were searching far and wide, high and low. And it was a really like hard thing because like Olivia said, we've been doing this for over 7 years. And like we were influencers before the word influencer was coined. We were creating content, we were posting. Like that was like, it wasn't really a word then. And like even for us, like we had to completely like grow up with Instagram and with the influencer industry to fully understand all of the nuance and all of these, these little small details that can like make or break a campaign or a contract and, all of these insane words that literally aren't even in the dictionary yet. And so we found that like even with training people ourselves, just through trial and error, we realized that, people really needed a super deep understanding of the influencer industry, again, A through Z. Like because
what we were doing is we were hiring virtual assistants and we hired probably like 8 within 2 years. Mm-hmm. And they just always ended up not working out because they didn't understand influencing. They didn't understand campaigns. It was not their territory. Like they were good with admin stuff, but you have to understand like what you're talking about to do a job.
Yeah.
So when we found Anna, we ended up posting on TikTok. And Anna, applied and we found her. And, a couple months into her being with us, we were like, why is Anna so good? Like, why is it so easy? Why has the training been minimal?
Why does she get it? She just gets it.
Why does she get it? And it was because Anna was at the time a micro influencer. She was doing, her vegan, I don't know, what do you say?
Travel. Might I add, I had taken a course on how to become an influencer for the record.
But she was a vegan food influencer, and we realized, and not to mention her, I think also her acting background was really helpful for, I think, Liv specifically, but for both of us as well to kind of understand, because they almost like overlap with things such as like usage and just like having your image, out there. Yeah. So that was also really, really helpful. So again, that was kind of when we approached Anna and we're like, okay, as you train with us and, start to learn all these other little nuances, let's take notes on this process. And then that's what we commodified into the course.
I definitely noticed, like, of course, some people, because I read a lot of the applications that like had been sent to them. And
you just went through and she was like, who did I beat?
Who did I beat? Well, some people were still sending after I was hired, because the video was going. So of course there were like the regular ones that like, I remember like the thing was like POV, you're looking for like a remote job. And then there was like all these comments. They're like, is this remote or in person? Where is this located? But aside from that, there were like a lot of people that I was like, okay, not a lot, but some that where I was like, this is genuinely like could be a good fit if they like knew what they were doing at all. Like which again is like not their fault. Like the only reason I knew was because like I was doing it myself and I had done those negotiations for themselves. Like there is no way that someone who doesn't, it's have experience in this industry or whatever, hasn't taken what now is the course, like would be able to know,
100%. Yeah. And I think that it was a mix of us being overwhelmed and needing assistance so bad. And then with that, because we posted a lot for hiring just out on social media for the agency, for our personal reasons.
Social media managers.
At one point, we even just myself, outside of the agency, outside of any business, I had 7 assistants at one point for all different things. So like we just hired a lot. And with the round of people that we hired, or with the round from that we got Anna out of, basically from our one viral TikTok, hundreds of people, you guys, because it went viral. So many people sent us applications saying that this was their dream job. But we looked at their resumes, we looked at their introductions, and they did not have the qualifications. And
we're like, you're not the dream candidate.
You're not the dream
candidate.
We
can make you the dream candidate.
I understand. Yeah. So for us, it was a really interesting moment of like, holy shit, a lot of people want to do this, but they're
like
not
200 to 300 applications.
Easy. And but they didn't have the qualifications or experience. And it really isn't even, it doesn't even have to be years of experience. Like they just need the knowledge. And that's when the conception was born for the influencers assistant course. Was like, we saw how many people really wanted to do this. They wanted the freedom, they wanted to work remotely. They wanted to get their foot in the door of the influencer industry, but they didn't know how. A lot of people wanted to work in the industry, but didn't want to be an influencer themselves. Like they just wanted to be in the industry doing the work. And not everyone wants to be in front of a camera. And that's totally fine and relatable. I'm like, I feel you.
Relatable. Go through that. That's like me every time like a video goes viral. I'm
like fuck, why?
Yeah.
So, just seeing the interest in the position, and then when we would look for resources for people to learn how to do this specific position, there was nothing. And that's really why we were like, holy shit, we have a solution to this problem. Like we can totally do this. So that's really how it was all born. And then Anna was like the perfect person to do it with us. And one thing led to another. And
I like wanted to. I was like, okay, yeah. You guys were like, do you think you might be interested? And I was like, okay, so we're doing weekly meetings every Tuesday. This is what I need from you guys right now.
Anna was the gas in the fucking truck.
No, like 100%. Like she was like, oh, you guys want to do this? Bet.
Not even the gas, the diesel.
You're like, I can't do one. I was like 1:30, 2:30.
Anna fucking durned.
We were NASCAR and she was the Grand Prix. Like
I'm not free that day. I'm free that night, 9 p.m.
If she has one fan, it is me.
100%.
If she has 2, it is us.
Unreal. Genuinely.
Like, yeah. And
but
then,
also, not to mention all the influencers that were like at you guys that were like,
yes,
please. And to me too, every time I would mention I was an influencer's assistant, I would get a lot of people being like, that's my dream job. But I would also get a lot of DMs from
where they
influencers.
At, actually. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, those 200 to 300 applicants, where y'all at?
Where y'all at?
Probably listening to the pod.
Where y'all at though?
But yeah, that's a great point as well. And that's something I even forgot to mention. Like the third pillar of all of this was our influencer friends and even strangers on the internet who would reach out to us. Still to this day, I get like multiple DMs a week begging for an assistant.
Sir James Charles was commenting on our TikTok and saying, yeah, this is exactly what I need. Mariana Hewitt was commenting on our shit saying, please let me know when you have assistants. Like
every time I shared about my assistants and delegation and how we hire, like DMs flooded with people.
It was like, can I have your assistant? What's her number? Like, what are you doing?
Is she taking more clients? And I would have to gatekeep because I'm like, love you, but like, no, she can't take on more clients. She's busy with me.
Also,
and all of our fucking companies.
No, literally. And I think that's also something really special too, is that like I would hope that the same goes for, other influencers that are launching businesses. But like once you develop a relationship with someone and like a good relationship, you really do want to keep them like on lock as much as you can. Like Michaela is not only my assistant now, who Michaela is a course graduate. She's my assistant. She's Olivia's assistant. She does assisting work for Anna. And she also is our socially ambitious COO.
Yeah. Chief of operations.
Chief of operations.
And even before all that,
we'll keep her booked and busy.
Anna's childhood best friend. And that's why she even took the course in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just crazy.
Yeah. And that's how I feel like what I love is like when someone finds somebody good, like, and I know we joke about it so much, but like, I think she started doing 2 hours a week of brand pitching for just me. And then like within 3 months, she was working like 40 hours a week.
Yeah, within like a few weeks, she was like, guys, I can't take anything else on, please. And we're like, okay, we'll respect your boundaries.
Yes. But I feel like definitely people really refer. I mean, I get like my cousin was like, oh, like, you know, who's your assistant? Like, everyone wants a good assistant.
Well, I've also like been speaking to like business owner friends, like who they don't consider themselves influencers, but maybe they have like a small following, but they also have a business and that business has a following and they're running that business by themselves. And they're like, do you think I could hire one? And I'm like, absolutely, you could hire one. Because I mean, if you're like working in the social media realm, if it's like, in a similar adjacent space, that might be like what someone's looking for anyways. Like we're constantly posting like social media positions in the Facebook group as well, just because there is so much crossover and opportunity. Like again, this skill set can be applied to so many other opportunities that just could fall into your lap.
Yeah. My cousin's not an influencer and she just hired one of our assistants. I think she hired 2 of our assistants actually for like 2 different things. She like runs retreats.
Nice.
And
exactly.
She like wanted someone to pitch for her, manage inbox, and then do some like light social media stuff and like graphics just for stories when she's selling stuff. And she has like just like I think like 1,000 followers or something.
That's amazing.
And she hired like 2 of our assistants. She's like, oh my God, I love them. And she was like, it was funny because she called me like venting about how like she couldn't find a good assistant. And I was like, pardon? Like, do we know each other at all? And she's like, I forgot. I'm sorry.
Insane. Yeah. And even I'm thinking of a friend of mine, Marissa, who owns a boutique, and she's not an influencer herself, but she owns a really successful, cute little boutique in Fort Lauderdale. And she hired one of our assistants to, just help her run the business page, shoot content, edit content. And she's so happy. She's thrilled. She's like, I can breathe now that I have this off my plate. But she's not an influencer. Yeah. She's just a business owner who has a social media page, So it's just there's so many different options and different routes that someone can take this skill set. And that's really, truly what I love about this and why we're just so confident in the whole thing. But
I feel like you don't know either till you do it. Like I was definitely like, oh, I don't need someone. Like I don't need someone. And then in hindsight, I'm like, people were waiting like 2 weeks for me to like respond to an email.
No, literally. If Michaela takes a day off or like, and even with Michaela, like sometimes shit doesn't get responded to because she's like, Jess, I need an answer. And I'm like, So even I couldn't imagine if Michaela took any time off.
I mean, she is an absolute rock star. Well, we're gonna have her on. We gotta have her on.
Yeah.
She's an absolute rock star. I mean, at this point, she just texted me yesterday. She goes, and so something I'm working on both for you and Jess is negotiating as much as possible without you to eliminate much back and forth and then bringing you the final rates and then final agreement for the last look. Goal to make your lives easier. I'm like, perfect. Like, and we're going to do a whole episode, I'm sure, on just talking about delegation in general, like the flip side of it. And hint, hint, might be our next offering. We got to work on that.
We've talked about that.
We got to work on that. Well, for anyone new, but yeah, just the power of delegation. And so many influencers now are starting their own businesses, starting their own podcasts, starting their own things. And it's making them, need that help. Because again, like like Jess said, I think that's a good point. If someone's full-time job is just influencing, maybe they might have enough bandwidth to do what they're currently doing, to take on their campaigns. But in that same vein, they also might just want to start working a little less and enjoying life more. Like, even if I didn't have all the projects that we have, I would probably still have an assistant because one, the campaigns coming in gives me the resources to be able to afford it. And two, I like going to the beach during the week on a
Yeah.
beautiful day.
I
Well, like, isn't that like what
time,
life is fucking about?
time is more valuable than the monetary value for me at this point in my life. And I think that is a gift as well for people who just
Yeah,
work less.
100%.
I
Like, do we need
feel
any
like
other excuse than to like enjoy life? You know what I
Enjoy life
mean?
more.
then vibes.
Yeah, vibes.
I feel like it also just like I feel like I've been able to also, if people are new here or just new to me, I host group trips. And like I was like I wanted to do five, but like I could not even think about doing like five launches. And I just did like my first ever Greece launch. This was the first time I had like help. I have an assistant. And then I also used a graphic designer as well, who's our social media manager for Socially Ambitious. And
Shout
now
out
I'm like, oh,
Gabby.
I could like
Booked and
shout
busy.
out Gabby. Um,
Also took our course.
also took our course, also a course graduate, where I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I can do so many more launches so much easier. Obviously income increase. And then also just like, I love doing them. I want to do more of them. People have been asking for more of them and I wasn't able to do it. And this one, because everything was so set up in advance, everything was so organized, I didn't have to worry about like, my emails are managing everything else. Like the trip sold out in a week because it was ready. It was like everything and I could have never done that by myself. Ever.
No,
The first one I ever did, I literally put a Google Doc at the link in my bio and was like, Venmo me if you want to come.
yeah,
Definitely
it's
been sold out. But
really like delegation is a superpower if you know how to use it. And that's the flip side of us being so passionate about this course and what we're able to teach people is like the other side is like giving the person who's delegating fucking freedom, avoiding burnout, giving them the ability to, start new businesses, start something they're passionate about, scale. It's just, yeah,
yeah.
it's just totally a superpower.
Yeah, so many different things. I feel like so many people are a bit worried to do it. But
Which
don't
is
be.
understandable. It's scary at first. You don't know what you're
Yeah.
doing. You've never been a boss before. You don't know, it's an investment in yourself. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that's what it has to be seen as. It can't be looked at as an expense because it's not, it's an investment.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like everything has definitely been like times a million worth it.
Yay.
And I think people also don't know, like, I think they think you have to like hire someone full time and like get them an office and everything. I don't think people
Oh,
get that.
Yeah.
Like, you
yeah.
can start by hiring someone for like 2, 4, 5 hours a week or whatever.
Yeah. That's a great point. And that's something that we always talk about is
Constantly telling people
yeah, there's a huge misconception. They're like, well, if I hire an assistant, don't they have to be full time? No, baby. No,
the
No.
hell. They don't
not
even
at
want to
all.
be full time for you.
They don't want to be full time. They want to
I
be
also, yeah, I also feel like it's a bit more like I think it's a pro and a con, but there's definitely a bit on my shoulders of like pro, like it like motivates me, but also I'm like, oh my God, there's people who's like not like full livelihoods, but like livelihoods like depend on me.
totally.
Yeah.
But then I feel
All the
like
time.
it makes me do like more, but then also I'm
Yeah.
like
I mean,
it is scary. It's a commitment, like in that way, you
yeah,
know?
for sure it is. But I think what you get in return as far as bandwidth, time, like the fact that I think it gives you the ability to just think about the things that matter and the things that are actually going to get you to scale versus doing the busy work.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't actually help you scale or help your revenue,
Yeah.
which we talk about in the in our
In the
next
conversation.
course, which is all about delegation. If you didn't know, now you know. And I'm really so excited to launch that because just the everyday conversations I have with people and them having these exact conversations of being scared or not ready to make the investment or just wanting some tips and tricks for hiring for the first time, like this delegation mini course is gonna be it's gonna be your answer.
Yeah.
Her.
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 God, you guys, we did it.
Should
Happy
we
first socially ambitious episode.
should we
Her.
end with like one thing we're grateful for or something?
Yeah, we had to actually decide on segments. So the next episode we'll have, or should we just do it?
And if our listeners have any requests for segments, definitely let us know. We'll take those into consideration. That's not something that we've even talked about yet. So let us know what you guys want to hear.
Yeah, send
Yeah.
your feedback, and we'd love to hear from you guys what you liked, what you want to hear more of. If you love this, send it to a friend. If you have a friend who's interested in remote work or, anything in the influencer industry realm, I'm sure they would love this. Give it a good send. And yeah, let's do one thing we're grateful for. Why not?
Or what about one thing we're grateful for and one thing we love about working in social media?
Okay.
Okay, one thing I'm really grateful for is workout classes.
Play.
I think I realize how much they like do not have them everywhere. Like not every place has like the greatest workout classes, and I love the culture. I love the community.
Play.
And then my favorite thing about working in social media is that it really can be whatever you want it to be. You can be on whatever side of the internet you choose. If you want to be like super aesthetic, if you want to make videos about ice restocks, you can do it. If you want to talk about culture and politics, you can do that. And I think that's really cool and something we haven't seen in a lot of previous generations in terms of like fitting, you have to fit into a certain thing. And then there's a really big barrier to entry. So I think it's really cool that there's not a big barrier to entry. And if you're really good at a certain thing, or if you know a lot about a certain thing, if you want to share it, then you go on your side of the internet and it's for the judges to decide.
Love that. You want to go, Jess?
Yes. One thing I'm grateful for is my apartment, my loft. I love her. I just feel like I live in such a beautiful home that inspires me. And the more I live here, I feel like the more I get to like nest and like make it more of my own. So I am grateful for that. And then one thing I love about working in social media is honestly, I would say like the people that I meet and like the opportunities that it brings. Like I would just like never normally I have so many friends that like I would just not have if I wasn't an influencer. And I love my friends and I'm just extremely grateful for them and like the people that I get to meet. Like I know that the influencer industry has its, has its stigma on influencers, but I really have met like some of the most incredible people ever. So
Influencers are just people.
they're just people. I mean, and they're and like don't get like there are shitty people, but like
Yeah.
there's also like it's like anything. Like there's
Yeah,
shitty
there's
people in
shitty
the fucking
doctors, there's shitty lawyers, like
yeah,
everyone's
exactly.
Yeah.
every industry has shitty people.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, especially now more than ever, like people, there's no influencer. Like influencers are just normal people, like who,
Yeah.
like they're doing ice restocks and they're making bread on TikTok and they're just sharing it with the world. That's why I really love how like the term creator is so much more commonly used now than influencer, because I just think it's what we do without the negative connotations
Mhm.
that the word influencer has. One thing I'm grateful for is my golf cart. Me and Tyler
Love
have
the
been
golf
going
cart.
on golf cart rides around the neighborhood.
Liv, you are the most like rodeo floor. Like Liv does not look it, but Liv is like
No,
secretly like rodeo Florida.
tell me that a sunset golf cart ride is not such a vibe.
No,
No,
that is a
absolutely. I
vibe.
wish I had
A
a
hundred
fucking golf
percent.
cart.
I just would have never thought. I don't think the idea of getting a golf cart or using it would
To be
ever have crossed
fair,
my.
it was handed down to us from his dad.
Okay, okay.
Like
A
we didn't like,
generational golf cart, if you
yes, like
will.
we didn't like buy it.
She's a
Okay.
I
nepo
don't know if I would
baby
have like
for
bought it at
golf
this
carts.
point in
I
my
love
life.
a golf cart nepo baby.
Yes. So I really love that. 'Cause
Wait, that was
that's
Jess's joke. I just wanted to give credit. She did say that
Thank
first. I
you.
just said it
Thank you.
louder.
It's okay.
Gotta give her her flowers. And then one thing I love about working in social media is, and I say this often, but you just don't even know the opportunities that are out there. For example, I was approached to host a beach day with a beach shade company. And that is something that I don't know, like I can't sit and think like I can't sit and try to manifest stuff like that. It just
Yeah.
comes knocking on your door, and there's that happens time and time again where the opportunities are just so insane. They blow my mind. And I
Mhm.
love that. I think that's so fun. There's always something new and exciting around the corner, and you don't even know what to expect. It just sometimes comes when you're open
It's
to
the
receive.
coolest shit.
Coolest.
Like stuff that we
Yeah.
literally could never manifest.
Coolest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm so thankful for that. And I think it's just like what other industry just has random stuff where it's just constantly surprising you, you know? I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
So that's it. You guys, that wraps up our first Socially Ambitious episode. We hope you absolutely loved and adored this. We can't wait to keep doing more. We're going to have so many different types of guests on. And if you guys have topics that you want to submit, DM us on Instagram, socially.ambitious, and make sure you're following us on Instagram as well. We post really amazing content every day. Shout out Gabby, our social media manager.
Shout
She
out,
kills
Gabby.
it. And we'll see you
It
guys
goes
next
down in
week.
the
It
DMs.
goes down in the DMs. Don't be afraid to DM us. We love hearing
Yes.
from you guys. So don't be scared. We don't bite. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, besties.
Bye.
Bye.